The first thing that happened to me when I landed here was the cold affected me, and I got a cold and cough and so on. So somebody mentioned to me, go have Panadol. So I went to the chemist's, and I still remember till then I felt I have got all these qualifications, I've been working all these years, I've been a lecturer back home, come here, and I go finally to that counter and I say, I'd like some Panadol, something for that. So the lady loudly looks at me and asks me to repeat that, and then says, can you move aside and learn to talk in English? And then this 5'3", I simply shrank. In seconds, I shrank to about 1 inch nothing, and I just wanted to cry, wanted to turn around, not a soul that I knew. And so literally, I could just see the way I was walking out was like a little ant crawling out of the place. And then when I started working in child, youth and family and slowly started gaining confidence, and I just thought, my God, I came with all this confidence and backup and support. What about people here whose houses we're going to, women who know nothing, families who don't have a clue, don't have that confidence, have never spoken in English, but this is what they encounter. That's where, the whole thing started for me.
I married this guy. We left for New Zealand soon after.
My husband, I took him a couple of years to settle, but then he found a job.
He started gaining control over me. He started becoming more and more abusive. He started hitting me.
4 years passed, and the things with my kids were going well.
I couldn't even understand what the teachers were saying in class. My parents became more strict. They wanted to know everything, where I was going, who I was meeting, what I was doing.
I started to losing authority over my kids.
My mum was making this little India inside my house, and outside was this unknown, beautiful land, New Zealand.
Time I was going through real problems within my relationship and subsequently got divorced in 2003, but just at that time I was just like, I didn't know where to turn, I didn't know who to ask for help, and this is from someone who has grown up here, and I'd gone through marriage guidance counselling, I'd gone through all the processes and services that were here, and they just hadn't helped me, and I just felt so isolated and without appropriate support. And I think that was it for me as well. It was like, nobody should have to be so alone.
It was very, very clear, just going by these conversations, that we needed a separate space where ethnic women could just be themselves, and could be supported outside of that mainstream context.
But you remember that meeting we had when we finally picked the name Shama? It was
at your house.
And I can't remember the alternatives, but Shama, just seemed to capture, that lighted candle, the feminine sort of power. It had and the fact that it was in so many languages.
In 13 languages, I remember that it meant the same thing. And that was, I didn't know that before, but it kind of captured everybody.
If you do what seems to be traditional feminine activities, right? Cooking, conversation, sewing, and
Crafts,
so on. Crafts. And that becomes a pathway to radical change.
We were talking about doing classes on domestic violence, and I said, if you say you're doing classes on domestic violence, none of the women will come. Their husbands won't let them come anyway. And she says, oh no, don't worry, we'll be doing cooking classes, we'll be doing sewing classes, and when they come, then we'll teach them how to hide their money.
Today we are going to cook a seafood pasta, and I'm making seafood, your favourite. Come in, find a seat. Sit down. Yep. Welcome. Great to see you here. Often when you're cooking, you cook and then you put something in the oven. What we needed to do is fill that 3/4 of an hour, sometimes an hour, of cooking time. So that's when the conversation started. And it often led on to one issue after another. And weeks would go by talking about women's health issues. And then the food would come out and they'd be eating and we'd continue on with the discussion. And it was a wonderful way of getting to know the women more intimately.
So there's this case that Janet and I supported. She decided to leave the relationship after an incident where the husband hit her.
This issue is, I think, very close to my heart because it is not only domestic violence but also these immigration issues, which is an ongoing fight for us. The women coming out with issues related to domestic violence within their marriage, coming from different countries where they don't identify social work, and then also hesitating to engage with social work over here in New Zealand, and applying the same perspectives of police, corrupted police, and all those things which they bring along with their culture.
I mean, it's something that I would like to raise with Silvana and probably with Prosperian being on board. I've been seeing the pattern of parents' difficulties to manage their children's behavior, and that's around children refusing to go to school, backchatting, violence with others.
Since Shama works with women, when you're working with a woman, you work with the whole entire families. So that's where my role comes. Most of the time I work alongside with social workers, because most cases that social workers will have, they have like teenagers in the family. They need someone to talk to them, support them. So that's where my role and myself I come along as well.
The child identifies as a Kiwi, and the parents are still maintaining their own culture.
For example, when I was young, my parents will say, no clubbing, nothing, education first, school, stay home. But then, I used to think, they're the worst parents in the whole world.
Initially, it was also hard for me. Like, I had a tendency to protect my children from, this culture that I'm not used to.
We know our communities, we understand the issues, and every community has some different issues that won't translate across what mainstream services are providing. So, for example, when it comes to sexual violence, silencing happens, but it happens for different reasons than how it happens with, the wider community.
من قصد دارم که به شما راجع به آزار جنسی صحبت بکنم و بهتون بگم که در نیوزلند از کجا
اگر شما آسیب جنسی تجربه کرده اید می توانید کمک بگیرید.
모든 상담은 철저히 비밀 보장으로 진행됩니다. 그 누구에게도 알려지지 않습니다.
ਕੁਝ ਲੋਕ ਬਚਣ ਲਈ ਆਪਣੇ ਸੱਭਿਆਚਾਰ ਜਾਂ ਧਰਮ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਬਹਾਨਾ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਵਰਤ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ, ਪਰੰਤੂ ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਉਧਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ.
Labag sa batas ng New Zealand sa sino mang gumawa nito sa inyo.
I think it's a feminist organization because truly recognize that women can achieve whatever we propose to do, and we work to enable us, not because we think that women doesn't have the skills or we need to teach, just because sometimes you need a little bit of support, especially if you're in an overseas country. When I said first, I want to do a fashion show, my trustees especially were like, what? We are a feminist organization. We are not about superficial women and fashion and stuff like that. And it's like, no, but I truly believe we can do an empowering event in terms of fashion show. This is not going to be mainstream. We have women from 2 years old up to 85 was the oldest women modeling on the runway. Women from size 6 up to size 22 as well. We have 220 women modeling and participating backstage. So you will see front stage, everyone confidently walking on the stuff, but backstage, it was just magic.
One level, and this is what Shama has done so beautifully, it's providing all these services to women who need it. But there are also sort of the idea that Shama can be doing things like more active feminist stuff, and also poetry and dance and the positives of women coming in and learning or participating in things that are rewarding at a level that's not just about survival,